Okay, hello and welcome to my Happy Cells and Souls YouTube channel. I'm Julie Powers, and as a licensed Zumba instructor and a business partner with the Juice Plus company, my mission is to help people know that life is better when you're dancing through it, and also to inspire healthy living around the world. But my mission has kind of expanded to basically just say simply finding better health at the cellular level and creating more joy at the cellular level. And so I believe that our time here on earth is supposed to be happy, like really happy and joyful. And I want people to be able to live through that. Having happier, healthier bodies is one way, because we only get one body while we're here on earth, right? This is the only place we have to live. So I want to help people live in a healthier body. And I also want people to embrace the fact that they get to have a joy-filled life while they're here on earth. And so that brings us to the videos on this channel. And I have had the honor and privilege of getting to know some very remarkable people throughout my life. And each one has something very different to offer to the world, just as you do as you're watching this. I want to learn from all of them, because I really feel like if we're not learning and growing, then we're kind of stagnant and dying, and that's no fun. Everybody has value and everybody has purpose. And even when somebody has a different background, different opinion, different experience, perspectives, beliefs, that's okay. We still have to be open-minded and learn from them, because everything is really great knowledge to have. And so today, I'm hoping that we can learn from our guest, who is somebody that I've known for her entire life, because she's my little sister. She's my one and only sister, Jennifer Roberts, and she's coming to us right now from Florida. But today, our conversation topic is facing fear and overcoming fear. And okay, so I've known Jennifer since she was born, and there's a 7-year gap. So I'm, significantly older than her. So I got to watch her grow up, and she has turned into this amazing, brave soul who has not just stepped out of her comfort zone, but expanded her comfort zone. Because, if we just step out of our comfort zone, which everybody says that's where the magic happens, well, if you just step out of it, we all want to run back into it because that's where it's comfortable. But she has not just stepped out, she's expanded that, in like giant leaps and bounds. And so today, Jennifer, I would like for you to talk about how you have faced your fear and you've overcome it to live on a sailboat and be part of that amazing experience that personally I have no desire to ever be part of, but I find it remarkable that you do, because we grew up in the Midwest. We were surrounded by farmland. There were no oceans around here. So how does somebody go from growing up in the Midwest to living on a catamaran and sailing for a very long period of time? That's the plan. So tell me about that.
Well, I feel like I need to kind of go back a little bit to 1998. Um, I think that was my first experience of getting out of my comfort zone. I started to travel a whole lot back in 98. I just sold everything I owned and I traveled internationally, took
And
some
that's
time
when you
off.
went to South Africa?
I went to South Africa. Actually, I traveled 6,000 miles through Mexico. And then I went to Johannesburg, South Africa, and then went through Zimbabwe and Zambia. And I just was just easygoing, and just like I didn't even care if something happened to me the next day. I was living my life. I was young and I was enjoying life and I was adventurous. And then I ran into my husband and my future husband, and things changed. And then I think whenever I had my daughter, I started to get more back to that protecting myself and not doing risky things and being as adventurous.
Right.
Um, because it was safe, and things were scary to me, and I was responsible for a child and my family. And I think I always had this drive and this want for independency, because I started to depend on my husband, my family, like everybody does. And um, I always loved to travel, and I always loved to have adventure. And marrying Ryan was an adventure in itself, because he was a pilot, and we would fly, which I'm terrified to fly. I
Which is so
only
ironic because you always have been so terrified to fly and you married
right
a
a
pilot in
pilot.
the military.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm like crying when I'm flying with anxiety, and I fake it till I make it as much as possible. But we owned an open cockpit biplane at one time that was aerobatic, and I only trusted him. I only trusted him to fly like a crazy mad person, doing flips and everything. And I think him exposing me to things that are way out of my comfort zone, not pushing me, but baby steps. It did something to me where I wanted more, and I knew I was capable of doing things and not just being scared all the time. So I'm thankful to my husband for introducing that to me. Interesting enough, as he was flying, he was a fighter pilot. He flew F-16s for many years, and he went on a sailing trip um, back 12 years ago, and he fell in love with it. It's very, very similar to aviation, lift, checking weather. It's easy to do this transition from aviation to sailing. So I thought he was crazy, because he had this whole idea. Then he came back and he wanted to, let's do this in the future. Let's retire and let's live on a boat and let's travel the world. And I'm like, you've lost your mind.
Right.
I am not getting on a boat. Are you crazy? I know nothing about sailing. This is insane. But then he took me on a trip on a sailboat, and I got it. I understood what this was, and how you can reach different destinations that you can only get to by a boat, and see the world and see things that are really special. And you have those priceless memories of just, you know, seeing the ocean and sea creatures, and having those adventures, and even better when it's with your family. So um, I I must say, though, living on land was comfortable, and if I had something wrong with the water heater, I'd call the serviceman. Or if the propane needed to be changed in the grill, I'd just tell my husband and he'd fix it. And I'd take my car to Jiffy Lube to get the oil changed. Everything has changed living on a boat. So, we purchased our boat almost 2 years ago, and we are living that dream. We had budget meetings every single month, and for 10 years, and we are finally here, and we've got the boat. And now it's learning how to take care of this boat and do things that are way out of my comfort zone. I can't call Jiffy Lube for them to change my oil. I have to jump in and learn how to do these things, not because, um, you know, I necessarily want to, but I want to know how to do things in case my husband needs help, or something happens to my husband and I'm the only one.
Right,
So,
because there's actually a real possibility at some point that Ryan may be sick and he cannot take care of something, and you guys are out at sea or you're
Mm-hmm.
anchored somewhere that you can't really get into the island, and you're the one. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a real issue.
It's a heavy responsibility that I have had and still to this day have that fear. I have that fear of something happening to Ryan, and for me to be responsible. Um, and I feel like I have learned so much, and I'm proud of myself. I'm not where I need to be yet, but I have come a long way, and I am taking different classes and getting involved in different things to, improve my skills and my knowledge. So I feel confident
Well,
that it,
you
yeah.
and Ryan have taken a lot of classes, as well as Addison, your daughter,
Hmm.
and she's 13 now, and so
Yes.
she's learning a lot about doing some of the things that you're doing. But I
Right.
know that you've had to take it to the next level because
Yes.
you're the grown up, right? And
Right.
so you guys have been living on the boat for a year and a half
Hmm.
ish, right?
Hmm.
And you did your first big sail last year, and you were in the Bahamas for how many months?
It's like 6 months,
6 months.
around there. Yeah.
And
Just island hopping.
right. And I went and spent one night on the boat with you when you were still in Florida. And that pretty much, sealed my conviction to never live on a boat in my entire life, because all of those things that call to your heart, the sea and the sand and the sun and all of those things are like, nope, not me. So
Hmm.
it's always interesting to see how two people can come out of the same family with the same parents and be completely different. But I do
Hmm.
want to talk about something that you have signed up for that sounds like torture to me, but it sounds like it's right up your alley. And it's called, what is it? It's the Women's Offshore Week. And it says, imagine a crew full of badass chicks on a race boat, surfing ocean waves at 10 plus knots, being masters of their own destinies. Get ready for this dream adventure to become a reality. Torture for me, fabulous for you, because you live on a catamaran, which you have told me, because it has the two things underneath the boat. What are they
Hulls.
called?
Hulls.
Hulls.
It's a
It's a
multi-hull.
multi-hull. See, this is a mono-hull ship that you're going to go on this adventure, and this is strictly for you to really increase your skills. And
Hmm.
I know you've talked about how you've had to face and overcome fears to even apply to this, because there
Hmm.
were hundreds of women, because this is just for women, and hundreds of women wanted to be part of this adventure, and you were chosen as one of the women. And why was that? Tell us why they said they wanted you.
Well, the main reason that I wanted to do this was just like I mentioned earlier, just feeling confident, building those skills. And I said that to them. I said, I've taken ASA 101, 103, 104, 114, all these sailing certifications. But when you are on a catamaran, it's just like this. It's very balanced and different from a monohull. You're going to be leaning a lot, and you really have to learn, just in general, the sailing techniques, the mechanics, the navigation, the everything to man your ship, your boat. And I just told them, I said, I'm fearful if something were to happen to my husband, I have to be able to take care of my family and get us to wherever we need to go safely. And I want to not panic, and I want to remember things and the concepts, and not just the checklist, but to be able to troubleshoot. um, and that's when they were like, you know what, Jen, we get it. And there are a lot of women that have already been chosen that are going to be way more advanced than you, but I think it's important that you do this because it's going to be very empowering. It's going to help build your confidence, and it's easier to learn um, from a bunch of badass women, where you just can be open to questions that, I can ask Ryan, but it's different when it's your husband. Um,
I don't
and
know why.
uh, just in general, it's hard to ask questions sometimes. I mean, you do, but then you just feel stupid because I'm at a totally different level. I know how to be a salesperson. I know how to, take care of my daughter, but all this other stuff that men generally just kind of know, I don't know these things, and it takes me um, longer to learn. I'm not super
Well,
fast at
I don't know
learning.
that it takes you longer. It's just that there are people that are more, I guess they're easier to learn through reading and
Right,
just, book learning.
right.
And, I'm one of those people that I don't learn by reading. I have to do something or have
Yep,
somebody talking to me while I'm doing it. And I know that for you, this experience is going to be, while a little intimidating, you're going to be playing with the pros. And
yep,
if you want to get better at your game, whether it's, tennis or basketball or whatever, you got to play people that are better than you. So
yep,
you get better and you're going to be right where you're supposed to be. And so while you're tilting back and forth on this mono hull, and I would be puking my guts up on the side of the boat and crying because I want to get off,
hmm
you're going to be like, yeah, let's do this, because you got all these badass chicks around you who know what they're
yep,
doing.
yep. And and that is just it's a cool setup for me. I'm excited about it. I'm still a little fearful because, I don't heel very often, seeing that we're on a catamaran. So this is a racing boat. This is a no kidding fast boat. We're going to be heeled most of the passages, just
What does that mean?
and heeled
Yeah,
over. It's like
that
when
just
you
means
see
sideways.
when you see a typical sailboat and the wind pushes it to the side, so that you have that lift and that brings speed. That is what this boat's going to do this entire time. So for me to and to manage the sails and know what to do that can increase the speed, because that's what you want. um, and I just think it'll be really cool. It'll be really cool to learn from them.
I think that's great. And so what would you say if somebody were to come up to you, not necessarily about sailing, but they're like, wow, you really overcame a lot to be able to do something like this. This is really big. I mean, most people live in their homes that are stuck in the ground. They don't like take their homes with them, except for those people on land that live in an RV and they go from RV park to RV park across the country. But you live on water, and just that in general is pretty scary. Plus, you're overseeing homeschooling for
Hmm.
Addison, and that's a lot of responsibility as well to make sure that she stays on track. But what would you say? What would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone, especially a woman who's like, I just need to figure out how to expand my comfort zone? What would you tell them?
um, I would say, life is way too short to just wait. If you've got something that you're thinking about that you'd enjoy doing, whether it's go travel, like I traveled by myself to South Africa. Um, Scary. It's really scary and intimidating, but you feel like you've accomplished so much when you do something that you've always dreamt about or you've thought about for a moment and then you just kind of write it off. Whatever I always say too, like whatever your screensaver is on your computer, mine used to be like the beach or, a hammock laying on the beach or something like that. Just stop looking at your screensaver and make it a reality. If that one thing gives you joy to look at, to take you away from your mundane crap hamster wheel that you're doing, just go do it and don't be fearful. It could even be like I've always wanted to learn how to flamenco dance, or something that you're afraid to do because you're afraid you're going to embarrass yourself. Who cares? Who cares? Just do it because you are fulfilling your life. And if you are looking like a fool, just laugh it off and say, I don't care. I am having a great time.
Well, and
And
that's what this channel is about, is finding ways for people to live their happiness. And so what I heard you say is, don't wait for one day, make it 2 day.
yes,
And so even if that means, okay, I can't just leave today and head to the beach, but today you can map out, how much money am I going to have? What's my savings plan to get there? Where do I want to go? You can actually start planning it now
yes,
instead of waiting for one day to get here to start planning it. Make
right.
action steps so that you know what you have to do to get from here to there.
There was a screenshot that I just saw that I wanted to share. It says, start today. Start where you are. Start with fear. Start with pain. Start with doubt. Start with voice trembling, but start. Start and don't stop. Start where you are with what you have. Just start.
Well, thank you, Jennifer Roberts.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you for sharing your philosophy. And I love you, little sister.
Love you too. Love you more.
Aw.
Aw. Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
I'm going to stop the
Alrighty.
recording.